Godzilla is a character with a big sort of history, isn't it? So does it feel like a big challenge for you coming as a director, as a second feature film, isn't it, to take that on? And how does it feel like, how do you imagine it will feel like kind of dealing with fans and that sort of thing on that?
We dealt with fans to an extent on the first one, like as in, when I say fans, I don't mean we had loads of people who liked the movie. I've had people who didn't like the movie, who I thought would, who were that, like, you know, come to things like this. And I don't think you can really do something constantly worrying about what everyone else is going to think. Like, that way lies a bad film. I think you've got to do what you believe would be a really great experience to sit and watch. That's all you can ever really do. And then, yeah, and I think it's like, even though I'd say all films are not created equally, but they're all received equally, which is you sit down in a cinema for about 2 hours, and if the film costs 10p or it costs 200 million, you still have to sit down in a room when lights go out, and you sit and you watch this experience. And that's what I'm concentrating on, like when I'm picturing stuff. The rest, it's just the details. It's really like, what would it be like to sit and watch this moment, and how would it feel, and is it the right choice, and how would it feel if I did something different? And you're just experimenting in your mind the whole time about that moment, a year or 2 years out, where you're going to be sitting there watching something, and so that's all I ever picture. And that whatever kind of film you make, however you make it, that's identical. Like that's never going to be different. So yeah, I mean, so that I just worry about that. I don't worry about the process in terms of it's always going to be different. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I hope it'd be fantastic if you had a career where you never made a film that exactly the same way you made a previous one, because then it'd start to be stale for you, wouldn't it? And technology is moving at such a pace, and the industry's changing so much, you know, to an extent that there's a chance that could happen, like that every film, if you make another film, every film could have a totally different way about, you know, something very unique about it that infects the film itself, and then hopefully makes something a bit different to what you've done before. Because if you're just repeating yourself, like, the process, I think, is as important to the outcome of the film as anything. And like Monsters, the reason it looked and felt the way it did, if for better or for worse, was because of the process we did it under, which was very opportunistic, ad-libbing, kind of cheap, and it has a vibe about it that if you didn't have that process, you wouldn't get that kind of film necessarily.
How does it feel stepping up in terms of budgets that you have to work on a feature? Is it kind of something that's a bit daunting, or do you put it to the back of your mind?
I don't think it's strange, but it's like I relate it to being a kid, and I remember being a kid and wanting sweets all the time, and sweets were like 2 and 3p. And then one day asking my mum like how much money she earned, and I can't remember what it was, but it was like unfathomable amount of money. And I remember just thinking, when I'm an adult, I'm going to buy every single sweet in the whole shop. You know what I mean? It was just, and you become an adult and you don't go and buy every sweet in the whole shop. Just your sweets become, or you know, equivalent of sweets become more expensive. And so it's just like that. Like, the budget gets bigger, but the things you're spending, you know, it on get bigger, and it's sort of all. It doesn't feel that different, you know what I mean? And it's not something that's really it's not my job to be that worried about, because I'm not the producers of it. So I'm just got to try and make the best film possible, and that's someone else's job to worry about the number crunching. So yeah, you try. If I really thought about it, you'd paralyse yourself, you know. So you have to just park all that.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing Godzilla, definitely, so lots of luck with that. But just finally, when you've got through Godzilla and we've seen it and we've all lived it, I'm sure we will do, what would you like to be doing next in an ideal world?
If that's, yeah, so, I mean, there's a sci-fi movie that I've always wanted to do that's all with Timur Bekmambetov, and I would inevitably think that I'd do that afterwards, maybe, or however it worked out. I mean, this is the thing: is you can't plan too far ahead. Like the idea, I wouldn't want to plan beyond another film because it's a bit cocky. You know, I just want to make the next thing the best thing possible, and then see where you're at after that, and reassess and make another choice. And I don't think you can be too clever about this stuff because it's changing. Like your situation changes, and you know what I thought I'd be doing at what age I'd be doing it is so different to what's happened. So I'm just giving up trying to be too clever and just take each scenario as it comes.